Hey, how's it going? I'm Jacob from Thin Air 3D. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to model and create your own heart-shaped box that is good for 3D printing. So the steps that I'll be showing you in the video is I'm going to show you how to create the sketch with the profile of the heart, and then we're going to be using extrude to create the box. We're going to be using the shell command and a couple other little tricks to create the lid, and then afterwards I'll show you how to change the appearance to add a color to it, and then how to reorient the lid to set it up for exporting for 3D printing. So we'll go ahead and jump into it. If you like videos like these, then please let me know in the comments what kind of things you'd like to see me 3D model or do step-by-step tutorials for in the future. I definitely want to do a wide range between beginner and more advanced type models, but for now I want to start off with the beginner type tutorials because I think there's definitely a need for that out there. I did recently design a box similar to this that has a hinge with a print in, it's a print in place with hinges, requires no supports. So maybe I'll do a video like that if you guys seem to like this video. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first thing that I'm going to do obviously is go ahead and come up and start a new design. This is what it should look like whenever you open up Fusion 360. In case you're unaware, Fusion 360 is free for hobby license, I guess. So if you want to follow along this video or learn about Fusion 360, go onto the website and search for that link. You shouldn't have too much issues finding the free download, or at least I've heard that it's not too difficult to find, but you never know. That's always changing. So let's jump into it. First thing we want to do is create our sketch. So we're going to left click on sketch. We're going to choose the XY plane, which is our bottom plane in terms of 3D printing. And we can verify that we got the right plane by looking up here where it says top. Now we're going to go ahead and start tracing out the shape of our heart, but we're going to kind of use just some geometries and trimming to trace it out, or just make it a lot easier for us. As far as these dimensions go, I don't want to go too in depth as to where I got these dimensions. I've just kind of played with it a little bit to get it to look, like a nice shaped heart. You can use them a little bit differently, but be warned that you can have some issues with some commands we use later on. So I might mention that a little bit later on in the video, but for now, just kind of follow along with the dimensions that I use, and then you can play around with it afterwards if you want. But we're going to use a line first, and we're going to start off at our origin. We're going to draw a vertical line up. So just left click at the origin and then bring it up. Now I'm going to start off with 100 millimeters. That's going to be roughly, a size marker for the overall size of our heart. And then we want to grab another line, left click at the origin again. We're going to bring it out here. We're going to hit tab and then 45 degrees and hit enter. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Control Z to undo that. I did not mean to hit enter. Right click, repeat line. So left click, bring this out here. We're going to hit tab, 45 degrees, and then not hit enter, and just kind of drag it out to about here. Doesn't really need to be precise, but it needs to be a lot longer than I had it a second ago. So left click to get out of that, and then hit escape to be done with the lines. Next thing we're going to do is draw a circle to get the arc, but what we want to do is not have it on this centerpiece, but just somewhere around here, not too close to this line, somewhere in this area. Left click, and then I'm going to type in 100 for 100 millimeters. And then the next thing we want to do is make this circle tangent to this line. That's the easy way to get a nice smooth transition from a line to a circle. It's by making it tangent. So go up to your constraints. If you don't see it on your menu, then just click right here and you should find tangent. Left click it, and then we always click the object that we want moving first. So we want the circle to move over to the line. So we're going to click the circle to move tangent to the line. And then hit escape to get out of tangent. We are set on the circle. Now what we want to do is get the circle spaced properly. What we're going to do is hit D for dimension, and then we're going to left click on the center point of the circle, and then left click on this line, drag it up a little bit, and then left click one more time and type in 40 for the spacing. Now I've tried a few different spacings, and if you bring it out too far, then it won't be connecting in the middle, too close, and it's a little bit squatty. But this is one of those things you can follow along with later. I'd suggest not making it any wider than 50, above 50, and it's going to mess you up. But let's continue on. Let's go ahead and select mirror up here, and then we're going to select with left click our circle and this line. These are the two objects that we want to mirror over the center line. And then we're going to left click on mirror line and then left click on that center line. And that's going to project and show you where it's going to end up. We're going to left click OK to accept that. And then we're going to move forward. The next step is we just want to trim this up to just leave the heart behind. So we're going to select trim, and then we're going to trim our extra pieces. You can see it highlights in red what is going to trim away whenever you click. So you can have your mouse over it and click and it'll trim it. Or what you can do is have your mouse near it, click, and then drag across and swipe it away. That can be helpful for when you have a lot of things to clear up, like inside here. You can just kind of clear it all away. So now we have the outside of the heart shape, and we can press escape to get out of trim. Be careful with trim. It can kind of send things wonky sometimes if you're not cautious. But we are good with the heart shape, so we're going to hit finish sketch. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to set up a couple simple parameters. I guess this will serve as a basic introduction to very basic parameters, but parameters are just going to help us for resizing and rescaling the model. Specifically clearances and thicknesses later on they're good for, but like for more complex designs it's very, very helpful to have parameters in place to make adjustments when it comes to troubleshooting, especially for 3D printing. So to get your parameters menu open, you can go to modify and then come down and select change parameters, or as you can see you can hit Control-Shift-P. So I'm going to click out of that, Control-Shift-P, and that brings up your parameters menu. So to add parameters, we're just going to add 3 very simple ones. I'm not going to go too in depth. I might do a video on parameters later to kind of explain it more and see how you can use them, but for now, basic introduction. So left click this little plus sign next to user parameters, add the first one, which the first one is going to be our height, which is for our box height. We're going to start it off at 60 millimeters. That's something you can easily adjust yourself afterwards or play with. Next one, we're going to plus, and we are going to add in wall thickness. And then for that, we're going to start it off at like 3 millimeters. This is one of those things, once you print stuff, sometimes, you know, you can look and be like, I wish this was thicker or thinner. This will help you change that quickly for prototyping sake. And then the last thing is clearance, which is going to be variable. But for starters, we're going to start it off at 1 millimeter. And then, you know, that's one thing, depending on how confident you are with how your printer's dialed in. And different models have different clearance needs. A lot of times I can usually bring down to like a 0.3 clearance pretty easily with a lot of stuff, but just play with that. If it's really loose with your model, then you'll know how to come back in and tighten it up. So let's go ahead and click OK to close this menu, and then we're going to go ahead and create the box shape. So we're going to left click on extrude. It's already got our profile selected, so we're just going to type in that parameter that we set up a second ago. Right here, instead of typing in a number for 0 millimeters, we're going to start typing in height. And you'll see that it pops up, so you can come down here and left click it before you finish typing if you want. And then we're going to go ahead and hit, actually we want to select new component before anything, because their body is going to be one component and then the lid is going to be a separate component. Again, a video that I'll go into components versus bodies another time. So we're going to click OK. Now we have our first component. I'm going to go ahead and just name it heart box. And then the next step is we want to hollow it out. So we're going to use the shell command. Left click on shell, select the top face, and then we want to tell it how thick we want it to be, which we already set up a parameter for as well, which was wall thickness. So start typing that in. Left click to select it, and then we've got our wall thickness. And this is where the parameters really are helpful. You know, you can Control-Shift-P to open up your menu again. Let me bring this up a little, make it a little shorter. And as you can see, you can come back in here and adjust stuff pretty quickly on the fly, which is very helpful for prototyping and all that fun stuff. But I'm going to bring it back to 60 and 3 just in case, you know, you don't have to follow along with this part if you don't want to, or just keep it normal. I'm going to exit out of this. Now let's go ahead and create the lid. So we need to create, well, the easiest way for me, I guess, is to create a separate sketch. So I'm going to left click on sketch, and then I'm going to left click on this top face of the lid, or of the box right here. And that should orient you. If it scooches over, just click the scroll wheel and pan it back over in front of you. But I want to use this exact profile to create the lid. So an easy way to do that is to type P on your keyboard for project. You'll see your little project menu come over here, and you're going to select the profiles that you want to project. So I'm going to select the outer edges of that box and hit OK. Now these are lines that we can actually use. We can use these to extrude, to draw from, to reference. You can also project in all sorts of other ways, but another thing that I'm just not going to get into right now. So next we want to make the lip that's going to overhang so it sits on top of the box. So we're going to use offset. So left click offset up here, and we're just going to select this outer perimeter that we just projected. And once we left click it, it's going to go ahead and just try to do it 1 millimeter. But this one, we want the wall thickness. I like the wall thickness of the lid to be the same wall thickness as the box. So start typing in wall thickness. You'll see it pop up. Click that. And then you can see the projection. That looks good. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. And then we are going to finish that sketch. So now what we can do is, to start the actual shape of the lid, we're going to take this profile and extrude it upwards, the amount of the thickness of the walls, and then we're going to take the outer rim and extrude it downwards a little ways so there's a little bit of an overlap and it sits on the box like a lid. Make sense? So let's jump into it. First step is extruding that face up. So we're going to left click extrude, and then we're going to select all 3 of these profiles, and this is what's going to give us a solid inside lip or the inside for the top. I'm jumbling over my words. But now that I've got those 3 selected, I want to bring it up the amount of wall thickness. So I'm going to type in wall thickness and select that. And then I want to make this a new component. So new component, and then we're going to hit OK. Now you can see over here, we've got new component. We want to make that a lid. And then, okay, so moving forward, we want to bring those lips down on the lid. So let's go ahead. What we need to do is enable our sketch from before. So let's open up our sketch menu, and then left click on the little eyeball next to sketch 2, because it was our second sketch. And that'll give us that same rim that we had before to be able to use. You can tell whenever we don't have the sketch enabled, it's just selecting the whole face of that upper box. So enable that sketch, and then we want to go, well, first thing, this is good practice, but we want to activate the lid. So if you just hover your mouse, we had the whole entire project activated, but if you hover your mouse over the lid and select, or click on the select box, that will get us into the lid mode. And what it does is it separates all of your edit history. It helps keep things organized. It's just a good rule of thumb, especially when you have a lot of bodies and a lot of components later. But let's go ahead and extrude that out. So I'm going to click away from it just so it doesn't have the whole thing selected. Now I'm going to hit left click on extrude and select this rim. And I'm going to bring it down. This, you could do wall thickness or whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to do like 5 millimeters, but you can see the arrow, it's pointing upwards. It's wanting to go the wrong direction. So you can just type in -5, and that will bring it down 5 millimeters. And you can see that it's already got join selected. So we're good. We're going to hit OK. And we've got our lid now. So let's go ahead and hide that sketch. We don't need it anymore. We've got our lid, we've got our box. What else is there left to do? Let's go ahead and activate the full model. And as you can see, it says unsaved because I suck about saving things right when I start them. Let me go ahead and save now. You should do the same if you haven't. Sorry if it happened to crash during this process and you didn't have it saved. But always save when you start your files or whatever. Heart-shaped box, new, 2-piece. I have a few heart-shaped boxes, so I got to kind of come up with unique names. Okay, so next thing we want to do is add our clearances. We've got the lid, we've got the box, but we can't add these together, or we can't print these like this because they won't fit together. It'll be too snug. So the easiest way to do that, for me, I think, is just to push all of these faces of the box itself inwards by a matter of our clearance. Or you can also press or push the inner walls of the lid outwards, but we're just going to do the box. So what we can do is select this face, hold shift, select all your other faces, select select. If you can't see them all, you can continue holding down Shift and then click the scroll wheel to pan around, and then select all, or release all of that and come up here and press pull. And then you can see it's wanting to pull outwards, but we want it to go inwards. So we're going to type in negative and then type in clearance and select clearance. You can see all of those faces went inwards. So we're going to click OK. And if you want to like kind of verify that it actually worked, you can kind of zoom in and then press Control Z to see it go in, and then Control Y, or out, and then Control Y to redo it. So now we've got our clearances in and our box is all done. This should fit well, and if you want to double check that the clearance actually worked, another thing that you can do is go up here, left click Inspect, and then click this face, and then we want to click this, the edge of the lid, and you can see right here, distance 1 millimeter. So now that we've got everything set, once it comes to 3D printing, if you need to adjust your parameters or anything like that, say you want to make things thicker, if you want to make that clearance a little bit tighter or whatever, all you got to do is come back in here, hit Control Shift P, and then you can adjust all of these things however much you want. Obviously, you got to be careful with clearance. You don't want to push the clearance in too much when our walls are already only 3 millimeters. So you might be able to, if you wanted more clearance for some reason, then you might want to change the overall thickness of the walls, and then that will kind of set you up a little bit better. But let's go ahead and change the appearance and get it ready for 3D print export. So to change the appearance, we just hit A on our keyboard. That'll bring up our appearance menu, and then I like to come down and your menu might look like this. I like to select plastic and then drag the ABS out here, and then I just edit it really quick. We're gonna make it red for Valentine's Day. Actually, let's do this one pink because the video started off as red, so why not? Drag this slider over to a pink type color. That's kind of purple. That's good. And then hit done. And you can mess with all these other properties all you want, but I just, this is just for a quick view. I'm going to hit done, and then I'm going to drag this onto the box. So you can use this to, do renders or whatever. You can play around on the render tab. Maybe I'll do a photo on that or a video on that eventually. But this is just cool to kind of show off, snap a photo. Now to export it, we want to obviously print our lid with this top face downwards. So let's go ahead and move it that way. Whenever we export the STL and then import it into our slicer, it'll already be oriented correctly. The base would be oriented correctly. It would export just like this, but we need to rotate this and have it basically on the ground next to it. So what we're going to do is go up here and click move. And then it's already got components selected for me, but if it doesn't, just click this drop down, make sure to select components, click this lid, and then we want to rotate 180 degrees, and then we want to pull it out a little ways, and we want to bring it down to the floor, which you can drag it down a little bit and then just click here and it'll line it up for you. Another thing that you can do is you can rotate it like this and bring it in closer to your box. That way it'll be closer whenever it all exports at once. So there we have it. We've got everything all in position. Now we just need to export them. We can do this one of two ways. If you just want to export this all as one file, then what you're going to do is go up and click File and then Export, and you're going to click this drop down and choose STL. And then you click these three dots and choose where you want to save the STL, and then click Save. I'm not going to save this right now. That's how you export those STLs. If you want to export the STLs individually, so you have the lid and the box and can move them around on your build plate however, then you're going to go over here, and for the box, you're just going to right click on the component and then click Save as STL. This menu will pop up. I never change any of these options. You're going to hit OK, and then it's going to prompt you where to save it. And then you hit save, and boom, you've got your body or your box STL, and then you do the same for the lid. Right click, save as STL, click OK, choose where you want to save it, save. And then you've got it. So that's it. Hopefully you found this useful. I like I said, I might do a video where I actually build the hinges similar to the box that I already designed. I should have a link to that design on my Colts 3D stuff down in the comments, or down in the description rather. But if you like this video, please like, leave some comments, subscribe. Let me know other things that you would like to see me 3D model. As I mentioned briefly, I do want to do a wide array of beginner to advanced models in this software. So just let me know, and thanks again for watching.